I'd already pulled that £1,000 multiple times in my head. I'd visualise the lift. My left hand goes on first, then my right hand, and walking my feet in and pulling the bar. I'd visualise the crowd cheering. I'd seen myself do it. I felt what it would feel like.
Yes, Adam Bishop! Tremendous power! Bishop gets that lift and he gets it comfortably. Milestone for the mighty Englishman.
So we're here for a deadlift session in the barn. Nothing fancy. I've got speed pulls this week, so we're working to multiple sets of 2 with 305. It's not something you can just pull heavy every single week. So it's something I like to alternate my weeks. I have a speed week, and then I'll go for a heavy week the week after. So this week's a speed week, so a lot more volume. That's moving better.
In 2016, it was my first Europe's Strongest Man. I'm known as a good deadlifter. I've done well. You know, at World's Strongest Man that year, I was 1 rep behind Eddie on the car deadlift. At that Europe's Strongest Man, I pulled 400 kilos, which was a competition PB for me, and I was beaten in a deadlift competition by 100 kilos. 400 kilos is a big, big pull, and yet, you know, it was suddenly nothing. Let's not forget Jerry and Benny as well, also pulling world records. I was gutted when Jerry got injured because that was a full power Jerry. You know, I'll admit it, you know, back to that 500, I wasn't a believer. I didn't think Eddie could do it. I didn't think it was possible for him. But as soon as I saw him speed rep 420, my opinion changed straight away. I was like, yeah, he's gonna do 500. So 2019 we had the deadlift championships in Wembley, and you know I went in there wanting to pull a PB like I always do, and yeah, I had a really good day. Pulled 440.
Aggressive style needs to just control that and make it work in his
I pulled the 440 and it felt hard, but I kind of focused on the rest of the show as well, so I didn't attempt the 455. You know, probably the right decision. I don't think I had the 455 then.
Normally a mild-mannered man. Totally psyched up.
2021 was a pretty crazy night.
He gets it, Danny.
Well, that is incredible. Nethercoat joins the 1000 club.
Oh!
My goodness me. Well, he's done it.
He forgot he was strapped to the bar. Surely not.
Just a little further.
What is in the air tonight? 453 and a half's a magical number.
Well, why not? Look at that. From Pablo.
Here we go.
Easy for Adam Bishop.
Time came up for me, and suddenly I was coming out later. I think I was the last guy of that group to pull, and everyone had pulled it, and it kind of put the pressure on a little bit for me. But I just went into my normal routine, and yeah, I think I was really happy with my pull of 1,000. I think I had a lot more in me, in all honesty. Back in 1998, I watched Magnus Samuelsson win World's Strongest Man. Any sports like I used to watch, you know, all athletics and stuff, I was just interested in like being the best at. I thought it was incredible, and to be like the strongest man in the world was you know, really interesting. My first passion was rugby, rugby union. My dad played, you know, rugby, and I kind of started off as a ball boy. First game playing, I got absolutely steamrolled by some massive kid. I mean, he was probably really small, but to me as a 10-year-old, he seemed massive. And you know, that was it. I was kind of, you know, playing rugby every week. I played cricket, athletics, you know, as many different sports as I could. With my rugby career, I started off young, played rugby at school, played county rugby, under 14s, under 15s, 16s, and then got picked up by Saracens Academy, a premiership club in the UK. And by the time I left school, Saracens offered me an academy contract. And I remember, you know, at the age of 17, doing the physical tests, I was, you know, built like a stick. I was like 90 kilos, probably the same size head I've got now, so I looked like a lollipop. but I was like super strong. So I was, you know, benching 140, I was hand cleaning 110, I was squatting like 200 for 5. I was doing chin-ups with 70 kilos suspended off me, you know, and then still running like 1,500 meters in like 5 minutes and stuff. In that year, I was starting to realise that I probably didn't have what it takes to play Premiership level. So started to focus on, you know, career after university, started to look at coaching, strength and conditioning coaching especially. And that's when I kind of fell into love with strongman, really. You know, I got the chance to go and train strongman one weekend, and kind of that was it. The rugby was put on the back burner and I transitioned into strongman. It was a dusty yard in Leicestershire. A guy called Jason Talbot, who was a former Britain's strongest man under 105, was taking the sessions. He made all the kit himself. He'd made all the stones, he'd made all the like farmers walks and everything, and it was just in a container in a dusty yard. Yeah, went down there and, you know, took to it straight away. I was doing farmers walks, races with farmer walks, and was really good at that. The lifting stuff was awesome, the loading, all those kind of movement events, and it was just kind of like, why haven't I been doing this sooner? I kind of just took to it very naturally. I won my first shows. I won Midland's Strongest Man and progressed forward. And in 2011, I won UK's Strongest Man under 105. And it was there, and then I decided to move up to the Open. So I was UK's Strongest Man under 105, which meant I wasn't the strongest. You know, and I was just, you know, ultimately really focused on being the, you know, the world's strongest man or Britain's strongest man. So I had to do in the Open class. 2011-12 season, I moved up to the Opens, and I just did it really slowly. I just, you know, picked shows that were appropriate for me until I finally got noticed in 2014 for the Giants Live. I was actually on the toilet at the time. I will never forget this, and I got my phone rang, and it was, you know, Colin Bryce. And ultimately, you know, he offered me a place to compete in Sweden, and I kind of ummed and ahed for about 30 seconds, maybe less than that. I was thinking, oh, you know, I've just finished this long season, I want a break and stuff, and then I had to, like, you know, correct myself. I was like, Giants Live are calling to give you an invite. This is your opportunity, so you just got to take it. Straight away, I was up against Brian Shaw, who was obviously gigantic. It was incredible, and I had a really good competition. Beat some really good guys, and actually took 4th place in my first international show. From there, I got my invite to Britain's Strongest Man in the January of 2015, and got my invite to World's Strongest Man in 2015 as well. So suddenly I've gone from, you know, competing in kind of some national shows in the UK to international shows, and 2015 I'm going to my first World's Strongest Man. I think actually the turning point for me in my career was actually 2018. And I look back at it now, and, you know, in Manchester as my first podium at a Giants Live show, and it changed the game mentally for me. I went into that show obviously trying to do the best I could, and suddenly with an event to go, I'm in the mix to win it.
Look at the speed from Bishop. Drives back and picks that anchor up. The crowd ignites as Bishop crosses the line. Adam Bishop with a furious finish there. And Bishop was fast.
Going into the Stones, I was in 3rd place. I was only 2 points behind Lissis, who was leading, and Kieliszkowski was 1 point. So it was a real straight shootout. It was really close at the top. And I actually remember thinking, right, don't mess this up. I just wanted to try and get that 3rd place, and, you know, I took it really steady on the Stones. When I look back at it now, I was like, that was your chance. You know, you could have won that show.
And you can see, you can hear, and you can feel what that meant to the crowd here in Manchester.
That was the big mental switch. You know, I was mixing it with the best, and I was like, why can't I, you know, win Britain's Strongest Man? Why can't I, you know, make the final at Worlds? Britain's Strongest Man at 2020, there was no doubt in my mind that I wasn't going to win. You know, I was super confident in every single event. No one could beat me that day, you know.
And ladies and gentlemen, he is the new Britain's Strongest Man. Raise it up for Adam Bish.
2020, I won Britain's Strongest Man, and all my strongman career has been running in the background at this point. After I finished university, I got an interview at Harlequins Rugby Club to be a strength and conditioning coach. And I swear to this day, the reason I got that job was because of my lifting ability rather than my CV. It must have been because my CV was terrible. Yeah, I worked from 2012 at Harlequins, progressed up. I was kind of the lead strength coach. 2020 I won Britain's Strongest Man, and then coronavirus happened. And we were all furloughed, we were put at home. The Premiership rugby season was stopped, and suddenly I'm training as a full-time athlete. And I saw the progress I made, and it just planted a seed in my head. Maybe I should be really committing, because I didn't want to have any regrets. In 2021, I had to pull the plug and go full-time. Because before, strongman was very much a hobby for me. I'd work, and then my release, from work was in the gym. When I went full time, suddenly my whole day was focused around this thing, and I actually got a little bit burnt out. Thinking about strongman the whole time and thinking about your session is not good. Really enjoyed getting back into carp fishing predominantly, and going and spending some time on the bank, forgetting about me as a life as a strongman. Set up a little simple rig. For all you fishing geeks out there, it's a helicopter rig. Nice little high visual bait. Hopefully the fish can hone in on. So that's lead core, so it's nice heavy. Sits on the lake bed nice and flat. We'll put a lead on the end and we're ready to fish. Like that. It's brilliant. Very low impact on joints fishing. The perfect pastime for a heavy dude. It's just a liner. So it's 4:15 in the afternoon. So we've been here since 11 o'clock this morning. Just got it set up. I didn't really expect any carp out until the morning, but if we did manage to get one, then great. But we've got some low pressure today. The weather conditions are all right. Would have liked a little bit more rain, but the real buzz with this kind of thing is hooking into the carp and having that little battle where he's trying to get into the lily pads or trying to get off the hook, and you're reeling him in, and it takes a little bit of a while. But hopefully, he's maybe hook a carp. First light's a good spot. Dusk as well is another good time for catching. That during that light change and stuff, so hopefully we can hook into one this evening. So 2022, I went in and I verbally announced that I was going to attempt 505, and training was going perfectly. Body weight was up, strength was up. I was performing really well in the gym, and I was training one session. I smoked 415, put the bar down, and the bar rolled on me. It rolled forward, and I was attached to the bar by my figure of eights. I couldn't pop the strap off. I popped one strap off, but it wasn't quick enough. And because I was in a tight suit, it effectively shot my legs out from underneath me, and I face planted into the floor. So I smashed my eye onto the floor. And I broke my fall with my other forearm. The forearm I did get free, and you can see in the video my kind of like tricep. You can see it ruptures, and it's a video that I haven't actually put out there. I've kept it for myself really. It didn't end well. So as soon as I hit the ground, obviously I smacked my head, massive eye, and a bit disorientated. But luckily I've got a really thick skull, so I was fine.
The scar would have been a lot smaller. Like Professor Watts did my surgery. That's the bicep scar, which is tiny. The tricep was a bit bigger, but to be fair to Professor Watts, a couple of my sutures decided they didn't want to be in my arm anymore. They kind of got all puffy and kind of came out my elbow, so that's why the scar's a little bit kind of thicker on this one than the bicep.
I think I was good enough to pull the 505 in 2022, like the way things were moving. But hey, look, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I think I could pull it. I wasn't strong enough because I got injured. So, I had to roll on, and luckily I've got another chance. My raw deadlift this year has been fantastic. Suddenly the numbers I'm doing are all matching up to, you know, the time when Eddie pulled his 500. Things are looking really, really good. I put in some good muscle in the right places. I've locked out 500 and 550 kilos above my knee from several times now. I've never done before, so I know my strength is there. Everything I'm doing in training and how I'm feeling is kind of pointing that I will have the strength to be able to do it. But hey, look, I've got to execute on the night. Eddie proved, and Thor has proved as well, that it's as much of a mental challenge as anything else. 7 years now since Eddie did it, so hey, someone's got to do it. And I've got a really good team of guys, a small team around me. Rob Frampton, we've known each other a long, long time, really good mates. Rob is the king of mental preparation. He knows what to say, when to say, get you fired up for that lift.
Bring it up!
I've also got Simon Yates, and me and Simon got on really well, because sometimes when I'm backstage, you know, I don't want to talk. I just want to chill out, I want to sit down, and you know, Si can just sit there in silence with me and we're absolutely fine. I think it's key to have the right people around you. Look, I'm just an athlete, you know, I'm no Eddie Hall. Eddie's naturally entertainer, you know, I'm an athlete, you know, even if we had no prize money, I'd still be doing this. Do I want it to propel me to stardom? No, I'm just here to try and do the best I can and get the most out of this body while it's still holding together. So, I'm getting married, marrying Amy finally after being together for 12 years. I thought she deserves it. We're getting married on the 16th of September. It means that, you know, I'm having to have my stag do directly after the deadlift champ. So hopefully we pull that 505, get handed a briefcase full of money and head straight out into Cardiff and blow it all on drinks and other things. So the Strongman Open featuring the World Deadlift Championships is happening on the 2nd of September. The live stream will be available over on officialstrongman.com, where you can also watch previous editions of the World Deadlift Championships.